What's going on, everybody? There is only two of us on right now, but we do have a new host that is going to be coming on right now. But I wanted to give him kind of an intro right now. So we want to welcome one of our newest. And if you haven't found him on Instagram, you should go look for him. That is M. Garcia, and he does Chicano Batman. We want to introduce. I'm all tongue-tied right now. Our newest co-host, Mike. How's it going?
Hey, good evening, folks. How's it going?
So, guys, we're all in different areas. Mike, you're over in Whittier. David, you're over in Fresno. And I'm over here in Montclair. So we're all in. Actually, me and Mike are kind of the closest to each other. I'm about 45 minutes away, if that, with traffic.
With good traffic.
With good traffic. But, it's kind of cool. I'm like, oh, I got somebody I can go and talk to now that's close by. And I can actually touch. Well, David, I could touch whenever we're at work, but that's a whole different thing. Anyways, guys, welcome to the Geek Saga. It is a pleasure to be on. As always, it's 7:30-ish. We're actually closer today, and it's Wednesday. We've got an awesome guest on tonight, and I'm really excited about him because I had a chance to actually talk to him a little bit last night. And I probably could have kept going because it felt so natural to talk to him. I mean, seriously, it was like I was talking to a buddy already. So I'm really excited about tonight. So I hope you guys are excited too. Yeah?
Yes, I'm excited.
All right, cool.
Exceedingly excited.
So, but let me start with asking David, how are you doing? What have you been up to today?
Good, man. I've actually been busy since I got back from work yesterday. Really? We had all those freaking cadets leave. Then they were there till like freaking 17:30, so like 5:30, 6 o'clock at night. Came home, and then I ran a bunch of errands this morning. And I literally got to the house at 6:15 and like started setting everything up because it was all broken down in my car still. And yeah, so it's been good, man. Just trying to like get my head on straight because Saturday I'm out and I'm back at AT, so I'll be gone for 2 weeks after that.
Hey, but at least you're not going to go up to Roberts. You'll be gone somewhere else that's a lot hotter, a lot more humidity. But you'll be inside all day.
Hopefully.
So I kind of envy you. I wish I could be going where you're going. So
no, you don't.
But yeah, trust me. I was already out there. I liked that facility. I liked dealing with a lot of the people that were there. So I do wish I was there. But Mike, how are you doing, man?
I'm good. I'm getting ready for this heat wave we're supposed to be having.
Yeah.
Taking a lot of the pool.
You what?
I'm taking a lot of dips in the pool.
Hell yeah! Either
I envy you.
Yeah, David, how hot is it going to get up there where you're at?
Saturday, it's going to hit. I think they said it's recorded to hit like 113 or something like that. And then at work, it's going to be like 109, 110.
Yeah. Our work, Mike, just so you know, is in the middle of nowhere off the 101. We're so inland, it's ridiculous. We're away from the coast. And then this weekend, there's a power outage. So there's no AC whatsoever.
Oh, man.
Up there. So we're both, me and him are lucky because we ain't going to be up there. So,
yeah. You can dodge the bullet.
Oh, yeah. We dodged literally a bullet. But so, all right, guys, we're going to talk about our sponsors. And guys, last week we had a really cool setup. That was on Talk Studio, which we will be transferring over to that, which would be Streamlabs. Right now we're back at good old StreamYards. So we're going to put up our good old slides for our affiliates. And we're going to start with you, Lonzy, which, guys, I say this every time. It's the lights that are lighting up this show where I'm at. I've got two new lights too, which you guys can't see, but it kind of gives me a cool like color. But these are lights that came from Ulanzi. It's a great company. They've got a lot of great things. They've got lights. They've got tripods. They got camera rigs. They got all kinds of. Mike, you should check them out, man. Check them out.
Yeah,
they got some cool stuff. Yeah. But click on our affiliate link in our bio, which is on Instagram, and it'll take you straight to Ulanzi. And of course, you buy from them. It helps us. So help them to help us. Help us to help them. See how that works? Cool. All right, so that's ulanzi.com. Check them out. Next, we got Renegade Game Studios. Since we are in my little studio-ish, where I'm sweating and the sweat's just dripping down my shorts, that is one of their games from them, Transformers. It's a deck building game. They've got a lot of great art, but it's also, they have RPGs. They've got Transformers, Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, My Little Pony, G.I. Joe. I don't know why I always get excited for My Little Pony, but I do. But it's, I don't know. Anyways, check them out. They're another affiliate of ours. Click on the link in our bio. It sends you over there. You buy a game from them. It obviously is going to help us, but not just help us, but they're actually really cool games. I mean, the artwork on this thing is awesome. They have figures that come with a lot of their RPGs. So if you know how to play 5th edition, you can definitely play any of theirs. Next, we've got, this one's more of a partner and an affiliate, I guess you can say. So shout out to Randy over there at Legendary Supplements. Guys, both me and David so far, and Mike, I'm going to get you a sample too so you can try it out, and it'll literally blow your mind. Like
it is it's like a rush because it's not an energy drink where you're sipping on it, you get a little bit of energy and then it dies off and you crash. Like this thing takes a good 15 minutes to kick in. It's like a little bit taller than a 5-hour energy.
Oh, okay.
And you hold it in your mouth for a couple seconds. As soon as that thing kicks in, you are like laser focused, like Eagle Power is activated. You know what I mean? Like it just kicks. The flavors are amazing. But yeah, I remember the first time I took it was on a stream, and I was like just sitting here, just tuned into the conversation. I didn't have nothing to say. I was just listening intently. Like it was hilarious, dude.
A lot of active listening right there.
Yeah,
yeah.
That works.
It was hilarious, but it's a great actual little boost. It's got that clean energy boost. And then again, like you said, it gives you that pinpoint laser focus. It does a sensory reset when you drink it at first. That's what you'll get, actually, a huge one from the Blizzard Mojito. It's a little bit more subtle when it comes to the, the Kickin' Mango Peach?
Kickin' Mango Peach.
If you like the taste of the Mexican candies, the chili ones, the Kickin' Mango Peach, actually really good. I have to say that's now become my favorite one. So there you go, guys. Click on the link in our bio also. That'll send you straight to them. But check out even more things that we're going to be doing with them. If you just go to their website, also use Geek Saga 77 as our code. Get their stuff, guys. Right now, they just put out a 6-pack sampler. So this is the time to go get a sampler. You don't have to get a whole case. You can try it out, but check it out. All right, moving on because we got Stu. Movo. Movo is what you are hearing me on, what you are seeing me on, and what's going to be powering all our other adventures that we have in Comic-Cons and the world when we take it over. But it's the mics that I'm using right now. That mic actually in the picture is the mic that's above me right now and that I use. The mic that I used last week was another, it looks like an eyeball, but it still sounded really great. The camera I'm using actually has a mic on it, but it's a little hard for me to adjust it, so I had to use the upper one, but it still works great too. So all of our stuff is now Movo Photo. It's an affiliate also. Click on the link in our bio. Go over there, you buy from them, helps us out, helps them out, and all that stuff. We'll turn. And there we go. And that's it for our affiliates. But David, tell us about the charities that we have.
So we like to always shout out Project Wish Upon a Star. Darren and Veronica have taken care of us so many times in the past. They've brought us to LA Comic-Con. They had us at Heroes Comics up here in Fresno, which was actually where we got to meet them face-to-face for the first time. Tim is also always there with them. If you haven't followed Tim, he's is it Tim's Woodworking on IG?
Yeah.
Look him up. He makes really cool comics that he cuts out and turns them into like 3D woodworking panels. But Project Wish Upon a Star, they bring the con life to their heroes, which is what they call the kids who are very sick, can't make it to the con otherwise, or they bring it to them. Right, so they make a way for the kid to go to the con if they can, and if they can't, then they bring the hosts, the help, the the celebrities to them to try to give them the taste of that con life. But they do everything out of their own pocket. So we constantly generate a link on our page to try to get them donations. So go to our page on IG, look for the link, and just donate if you can. It helps them out a lot because they're not going to do everything out of pocket by themselves. We also
check out that they're going to be at LA Comic Con again this year. I'm actually working with Darren to come up with a really cool theme for the booth. I'm really excited. So, yeah, we got some cool stuff coming with him. But go ahead. Next one.
Sorry.
Foundation.
Yes, Golden Apple Foundation. You interrupted me. I blanked right there, dude. But Golden Apple Foundation, go look at their stuff. They too are doing theirs isn't the same, but what they do is they're taking comic book collections, organizing them, getting like situated, super OCD life, and then they're turning those collections over to charitable places. So the first collection that they got, they gave to which college?
The University of
Penn?
Shoot. Huh?
Penn State? No.
Was it? No. I thought it was with an M.
I don't know.
No. Our guest is saying no. It was a thumb. It was a hole. We're playing charades.
Actually,
when he comes on.
Why don't we bring in our guest and then we'll have him help us out on that one?
Okay. Well, first we're going to actually show a video that tells you a little bit about our guest and actually the foundation that he is, which I got a feeling we're going to become a part of his family too, because we had a lot of fun talking about it. And it's a great, and when I mean not just great, but an awesome charity that he's doing. And when I first saw like the video, and it's the video I'm going to show right now of him and what he talked about and everything that they're doing, I got really excited and wanted to have him on the show. Ryan and Kendra from Golden Apple said, you guys need to have this guy on because he's got tons of stories. And after talking to him last night, it took, I think, 15 minutes of us talking to get to the answer of what it was that we were talking about earlier. So anyways, I'm talking on. Let's show the video to give you guys a taste of what it is that he's doing. So this is Mark Weiss of Comic Books for Kids.
My name is Mark Weiss, and I am the founder and president of an organization called Comic Books for Kids. 6 years ago this month, we embarked on a journey of passion and heart. Our goal was to make a difference for children in hospitals and cancer centers. Little could we have ever imagined the response we have now. Starting with just hopes and dreams, we had no money for our mission. We had no product to give to the hospitals, and we had only called a couple hospitals and asked them, if we were to provide you with comic books, would you be interested? And they said yes. So we embarked on a 1-year journey to make a difference for these kids. We realized that even though we can't take away the reason these children are in hospitals, we can perhaps, while they are there, let them fly like a superhero, be princes and princesses, and embark on a mystical and magical journey to take them away from where they are in that hospital bed. Today, and thanks to your support, we are thrilled to say that we are now the largest charity in the U.S., supporting well over 200 hospitals in all 50 states for not only comic books, but for other pop culture items like Funko Pops, action figures, coloring books, Spanish bilingual items, backpacks, and more. When we received materials that were inappropriate for the young ones, we started a sister charity called Comic Book for Troops, and overnight, we became the largest charity in the U.S. for these same items to all branches of the military. We want to thank our friends for providing us their support and for allowing us the means to make so many happy with their gracious give to us.
Who could that be? Let's see. This is how you answer a door.
Geek Saga.
Who is it?
What's going on, Mark?
Hey guys, how do you not smile after an intro like that? I mean, when Eddie Murphy's introducing me, you know it's going to be a good night, okay?
It definitely is. And honestly, Mark, when I first watched that video and listening to everything that you were talking about, and just it like sparked something inside of me. And David will attest to this. I don't have a huge heart, but it kind of cracked open a little bit of a rift in it. And I was like, I want to be a part of what this guy's doing.
Listen, I am delighted to be here. I am thrilled and honored to be on your show. Yes, David, it was Pennsylvania. At least I think it was Pennsylvania. That's what I was trying to point backstage to you. Unfortunately, the way things reversed themselves, ended up pointing at Eugene. So it didn't work. But now those two wonderful people are going to tell me, Mark, you're an idiot. It wasn't Pennsylvania. You're like in the wrong part of the country. It's okay. So thank you guys for allowing me to share some airtime, and to all the folks who are listening or who will watch this later. It's a pleasure to say hello.
Well, we truly do welcome you, and we've been actually reaching out to a lot more charities, because the awesome thing about this community is how many charities there are, and they're all aimed at helping kids and wanting to get kids like comic books, or even getting to the hospitals and getting the comic books in there. I know Mike was just at what was it, Asian comic books, or what was it, Mike?
It was at the Bowers Museum, and it was the art evolution of comics from Asia.
There we go. Totally screwed up the title. That's what.
So are we talking?
No, that's all good.
So what are we talking? Manga? Are we talking manhwa? I mean,
yes. Yeah, definitely. And they started it. The docent, by the way, she came in there and she started from the very beginning. I mean, we're talking before the 1800s, and just how a lot of the different imagery was kind of just captured from like a lot of the myths of the different dynasties hitting manga, and just completely branching and going into so much detail about it.
Name the area in the comic book industry that is the most profitable right now. Anybody have an idea? Hint.
Manga?
Yeah. If you take a look at the top 10 sales always lately, it absolutely is.
So Mark, I know we got that intro and we had that 2-minute long video, but how the heck did you get this whole thing started?
Dude, this and an aside here, I was talking with Eugene last night, as he shared with you, and I told him that I've been married a long time. As a matter of fact, the problem with averages, this is the problem with statistical averages, because if you look at the average age of the host, I just brought it way up. Apologies, guys. I just did. Okay. But, I've been married a long time, and I had that video done. My wife, my lovely wife, looks at me and she said, "Who wrote that for you?" Really? She then paused and said, "Were you reading that?" And it took me 30 seconds to realize she was messing with me, but she got me good, because that was literally one take in passion. But in answer to your question, Eugene, organically this occurred. I mean, I was a corporate guy. I was a business guy. I had no expectations, with no idea. I mean, if you had told me, that video says, I start by saying 6 years ago, we just celebrated our 7-year anniversary. So yeah, you can see how poorly I've aged in a year. Okay, I get it. I get it. It's all good. But we just celebrated our 7-year anniversary on paper. And when you start an organization, just because you're legal and legitimate doesn't mean you're doing anything. You're legal on paper, but what? So if you had told me that, in 5-6 years you're going to be where you are, and we'll talk about where that is in a bit, never would have believed it. But the reality was, I had done my stint in corporate America. I was burnt out. My passion, I love comics. I love sharing my passion of comics with others. And so the thought was, 7 years ago, really, a little more than 7 years ago now, given that I have a very nice collection myself, I figured, what the heck? I'll just take some of the comics I don't want and I'll give them to kids in the hospital. So that was the initial genesis of where this became. Mark will take comics he doesn't want and give them to kids in hospitals. They'll be happy. And that was it. That was just a thought. So I go on Google and I start searching for comic book charities, not just small little local charities, but comic book charities, organizations that I thought would be reasonable. And I found a couple and I sent them emails and never heard back. So I came to the conclusion that my Google search skills were absolutely pure crap, because obviously there had to be a comic book charity out here. It has to be. And lo and behold, when there appeared not to be, I just said, what the heck? I'll just start a charity. And I figured, you know what? Listen, I'm an older guy. It'll be cool, man. It really will be cool. What I'm going to do is I'm going to retire. Okay. Get up in the morning. I'll play a little video game. Just chill. Let's do a little Witcher 3 for the 4,000th hour. A little God of War. Okay. Do a little workout because I love working out. You're got some cool sponsors, man. I'm afraid if I even, this is me on one cup of coffee from 12 hours ago. Can you imagine me on that? Not a pretty picture. And I figured little workout and then maybe do some charity work, once or twice a week for an hour and a half a day. Well, we'll get to how I get to this, but let's just jump to the end. I now do this 7 days a week. No kidding. And I probably do this 60, 70 hours a week. This is all give back. And I couldn't be more energized, and I absolutely love it. Now, how I got here, we'll talk about throughout this hour, okay? But the thought was, I'll just start a charity. And that was how it began. It just started with me thinking, I'm going to take some of my comics and give them to kids in hospitals. So your next question, Eugene, is, well, what happened next, Mark?
Go right ahead, Mark.
What happened next, Mark?
What happened next, Mark? I got you.
What did happen next, Mark?
Thanks, Mike. Mike, you've been doing this a while, haven't you? Because you're really good.
Oh, thank you.
So I decided that I wanted to do something. Okay. Now, I didn't want this to be a foundation. Foundations are amazing. I love foundations. You took Golden Apple, it's a foundation. Those guys are incredible. I mean, they recommended me. You guys will all regret that after this call's over. But they're an amazing group of. They're amazing what they achieve, right? But I didn't want this to be a foundation for what I wanted. I wanted this to be the comic book industry giving back to the kids. Okay, I wanted this on behalf of the industry. I didn't mind being the face of the industry. Again, never having any expectation of where this would be, but I wanted this to be an industry give back to the kids. So I decided, you know what, if you want to be recognized in the industry, where do you start? Now, this was, remember, 7 years ago. And at the time, the distributor wars that we know today of Diamond and Lunar and Penguin Random House, and there's one in Canada, that none of that existed. Okay, if you were a retailer in comics 7 years ago, retailers were ordering from Diamond. They were the distributor, and so I decided that if I needed any credibility, I had to get Diamond to recognize me, just as a start. That was the thought, at least. But here's the problem. I'm trying to create a comic book charity, and I'm not in the industry. Never been in the industry. So here's a guy from outside the industry trying to bring the industry together on behalf of a mission. It sounds crazy. It does. So I don't know if you guys have ever seen it, but Diamond puts out a pretty thick catalog called Previews.
Mhm.
And in Previews magazine, it lists all the comics that are coming out, and retailers can use it as a reference. And so can consumers, or, you know, us collectors, to see what may be coming out. And we can use it as a way of ordering, because as we know, retailers order in advance. So I opened Diamond Previews to the very first page. And on the inside, it lists all the officers. So I picked one, called Diamond, and I just called Diamond and said, hey, can I talk to John? He's your operations exec. Sure. Can I say who's calling? I said, just put me through to his voicemail, because he's never heard of me. I've never talked to him. Just put me through to his voicemail. Great. I get the voicemail message. Wasn't Eddie Murphy. It wasn't as cool as yours. Okay. But I get the voicemail message. And I said, hey, John, this is Mark Weiss. We've never said hello. I'm starting a comic book charity, but I see you're an operations exec for Diamond. I know what an operation exec does, so I'm going to ask you to do this. I have a proposition for you. I want you to give me 45 seconds. That's it. Just give me 45 seconds. Call me back. Give me 45 seconds. If you don't like what you hear in 45 seconds, I have no problems with you hanging up on me. We never talk again, but please give me the courtesy of a phone call. 20 minutes later, my phone rings. It was John from Diamond. Mark, this is John. John, how are you? A pleasure to say hello. 1 hour later, we were still talking.
Jeez.
John said, Mark, I'm not sure how we do this, but I will talk to the people here at Diamond to see how we can support you. I love what you're planning on doing. It sounds like a great mission. This was a little bit after probably C2E2 in Chicago, and we'll get to C2E2 as well in a little bit. But lo and behold, a month or so later, so this had to be around June when I made that call, I get a phone call come mid-July. Mark, did you hear? Did I hear? But the news out of San Diego. Oh, there's only one piece of news out of San Diego? What? Mark, you didn't hear. Diamond just had their luncheon, and they announced their partnership and relationship with you at their luncheon. I said, really? Because I didn't know a thing about it, nor did they even tell me they were going to announce that. And that's how we became, and that's how our name became, or started to become, part of the industry. Okay? It started with that. But even then, it's just a name. And we still don't have publishers. So, Mike, don't you want to know how we got publishers on board?
Well, yeah. How did you get the publishers on?
Mike, thanks, man, for asking. That's a great question, dude.
Hold on, really quick.
Mike, you are legend, man. I mean, your experience is so good.
So, really quick, Mark. The crazy thing is that because you're such a likable person, I could see how after an hour of those guys, or what was his name at Diamond?
His first name was John.
John.
John, yeah. I tend not to use last names just for security.
Oh yeah, no, of course. But I could see how he's now he gravitated to you and then just said, hey, you know what? We're going to do this with this guy. I like him. Why not?
Well, it's interesting. You guys can see me. You can see how visibly animated I am in my excitement and enthusiasm. But that had to carry through over the phone, right? Because it wasn't a video call. It was just, hey, John, my name is Mark, and I'm an addict, and a comic book addict. Let me clarify because, people will just start writing, hey, comic book addict. Okay. So, I mean, candidly, that's, thank you, Eugene. It's very nice. But you interrupted Mike. He had a great question.
I'm sorry. Carry on, Mike. Go for it.
Yes, that question for everyone listening. How did you get the help?
So, I mean, again, it's still an idea. I want to be a charity. It's still an idea, right? So I call we talked about, I jumped the gun with Diamond, but I had talked about comics and wanted to do a charity. But that thought literally lived in my head for a year and I did nothing. And my son, who's older, as well, called me one day and said, "Hey, Dad, you gonna get off your ass and actually start this charity?" That's a quote. That's actually a quote. And I said, Mike, there's a show in Chicago, and this weekend. This is like Wednesday. It's called C2E2, and what a good time maybe to give it a shot. I said, "How soon can we get a website up?" Whoa. He goes, 30 seconds. Getting a website is easy. Putting material on the website, Dad, is what's challenging. Yeah, okay. I said, "So let's get a website." He goes, "What do you want to call it?" It's Comics for Kids. He says, "Cool." We looked and did some looking, but there is a Comics for Kids. It's those comedians that go to birthday parties. Comics for Kids. I said, "Okay, let's get really granular. Comic books for kids." "Oh yeah, it's available." We'll get to why that's one word later in the way I'm going with these stories, probably about 3:00 in the morning, but we'll get there. And so we put it on there, and our website was very, very skeleton. We had a few tabs on there that was called retailer, publisher, fans, but the content was the same. "Hey, retailers, you want to work with us? Hey, fan base, you want to contribute to kids in hospitals? Hey, publishers, we're awesome." That was it. We had a skeleton website. It was just it was a place to hang our hat, right? And so the night before, I went to the local office store, got business cards that said "Comic Book for Kids." We didn't have any logos or anything, and armed with just a business card and passion and a website that had been put up 24 hours earlier, I walked into C2E2 with just no expectation of anything really happening. Seriously. So I walk in on a Friday, I walk up to IDW, and there was a VP there, and I said, "Hey, my name's Mark Weiss. I'm starting a comic book charity to give comic books and pop culture items to kids in hospitals. Would you be interested?" He goes, "Absolutely." I go, "Really?" Because the last thing I expected was the word "absolutely." And I said, "Look, if you're being polite, it's all good." Because I still was not hearing what he was saying. I was still on, "Yeah, okay." He goes, "No, Mark, I think this is a great idea. I'm in meetings today, but we're in. I love the idea. Can you call me on Monday so we can talk about how we at IDW can be a part of this?" "Yeah, absolutely. Thank you." Shake hands, walk away in a little bit of a dizziness, unclear-headed, saying, "What just happened?" Turn around, and 10 feet in front of me is Dark Horse booth. Dark Horse. So I walk up to Dark Horse and I look at the person's name and I say, "Hey, Katie, how are you? My name's Mark Weiss. I was just talking to the folks at IDW, and I'm starting a comic book charity to provide materials to children, hospitals, and cancer centers. Would you be interested in working with us?" She stops and she looks at me and she said, "Can I give you a hug?" The world was a little different 7 years ago. We could actually say that. It was great. With apologies for anyone I may have offended by saying that just now. And I said, "Listen, I will never turn down a hug. But can I ask you why?" And she looks at me and she says, "Mark, you wouldn't know this, but I share this booth space with someone else." And she literally just went to get coffee. But I had just looked at her and said, it is such a shame that we have so much material that we can't use and we have to throw away. I wish there was an organization we could donate this to. She leaves. You walk up all within 30 seconds. And that's when I knew. That's when I knew this was very real and that there was a need for it and that we could get publisher support. And that was really the beginning of me recognizing that this concept that I had was not only an idea that was waiting to happen, but that there were others who wanted to participate in it. So that was really where it all started.
It's insane to hear that story, but in a sense, it's kind of insane. But when you really think about it, and this was something that I think we were talking to, I can't remember which person it was, but we talked about the community that we have. This subculture, this community, and it's not even so much a subculture, it is a community that we have in comic books, in cosplay. All of it ties into each other. But when you really talk to these people, there's a lot of people with huge hearts out there and are ready and willing to help kids, especially, which is,
I realized that. Didn't know it. I mean, again, I wasn't part of the industry, right? I was just someone with passion and desire to make a difference. But you realize that you can't do it alone. Nobody can do anything alone, really. If you're on a mission to make a change, positive change, you can come up with the idea, you can be the focal point, you can be the face, but you need support, you need others to believe and support the mission. I remember leaving C2E2 thinking, oh my gosh, now what? Because the fact that publishers may want to work with us doesn't mean they will. Anybody can walk up and say, hey, I'm starting a charity, but that doesn't mean that we were legitimate, right? We're just an idea. I have a business card. I have a website on there that says nothing. And for corporations, which these publishers are, to want to work with us, we have to be a legitimate organization, not just an idea. And if anyone did a search on us, we wouldn't show up anywhere. So I realized on the ride home, okay, I got some work to do, because now we've got to be what the IRS calls a 501c3, which is a public charity that allows me as an organization to provide donation receipts to these publishers, which gives them every reason to want to work with me and not just be polite. So that week, Monday came around, Tuesday came around. I'm trying to figure out how to get legal help, but it's expensive to do that. And I found, I'm based in the Chicago suburbs. I found a phone number in the Midwest. And it was called, I called it, and it said, help with your legal support. So I didn't know what it was, but I called them and I said, hey, I don't know what your organization does, but I'm looking to become a 501c3. And she said, well, we do help organizations become 501c3s. We try to make sure we support the underserved populations across the U.S., here in Illinois and across the country. And I said, oh, I apologize for bothering you. I do not consider myself underserved. I've been in corporate America. I live in the suburbs. She's a great lady, man. She said, she didn't say this, but this is what my head heard. She was very polite, but what she was really saying is, Mark, it's not about you. It isn't. Mark, who, as I was saying, you really can't help me, and I apologize for taking much of your time. She said, Mark, who's your customers? So my customers are going to be kids in hospitals across the country. She said, would you say they're underserved? I said, absolutely. We're talking Mississippi. We're talking Tennessee. We're talking some very poor states in the South. Heck, every state's got has got, kids, and unfortunately, who can't afford for medical care. It doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be the South. It can be anywhere. I mean, so will it be underserved? I can't say everyone, but it's going across the country. She said, that's underserved. I said, she goes, I'm going to send you an application. You got to fill it out. And here's the way it works. Okay. You fill out an application. Okay. And you're going to fill out a document. Great. And we're going to get it to a bunch of attorneys that we work with in the Chicagoland area. And we take all the applications that come in during the month and we route it to the attorneys. And if they like what they see, they'll actually adopt you. I said, cool, man, I'm in. I mean, it's what, Wednesday. I said, I'm going to turn this around and get it to you probably in a week and a half. And she goes, Mark, we do this once a month. Cool. That's great. She said, no, you're still not hearing me. We do this once a month where we take everything together and give it to the attorneys. I said, yeah, cool. She said, we're giving the packets to the attorneys in 48 hours. I said, cool, that's great. I'll get it to you. I could see in my head what her face was probably doing. She said, let me explain something to you. We need a business plan. We need your mission. We need your objectives. We need to know who your customer set is. We need to know about the industry. We need to know who your board of directors is. We need to see a financial statement. We need to see a marketing statement. We need to see financial projections for 1 year, 3 year, and 5 years. She went on and on, but my brain turned off. I said, I'll have it to you in 48 hours. She said, really? Yeah. Okay. She goes, I'll send you the document. Hung up the phone and thought to myself, what did I just commit to? So I went back to college. The only difference was it wasn't beer cans stacked up on my desk that I was drinking. It was a pot of coffee. And I literally got my laptop. I sat my butt down at the at the kitchen table. And I just started going. And I went on and I kept on revising it. And by the way, it was an incredible exercise because it was forcing me to think, okay, what do I want to do? How am I going to do it? What's the process? How much is this going to cost? How much time is this going to take? I'm already figuring that one out. By the time the dust settled, I had put together a 30-page typed document.
Jeez.
And I literally got it to them about 15 minutes early, called them to say, want to make sure you received it. She said, we received it. It looks nice. I go, yeah. And I promise you, it's not one of those things you see on the animated cartoons where it's a cover letter and it's just one word. No, it's actually, there was content in there. Now, again, we're very different today than what I wrote, but there was content. She said, okay, we're going to route this out. Give us a week. And if something good happens, we'll let you know. Phone literally rings the next day. Mark, I have some great news. We routed your proposal out. We had organizations fighting over you.
Oh, man.
We chose a great one for you. You think you're going to be happy. I said, thanks. She goes, is it okay if they call you today? I said, I want them to call me today. He called me an hour. They said, Mark, we're a legal firm in downtown Chicago. We loved your proposal. How soon can you meet with us? My response, how soon can you see me? How about in a couple days? Great. You tell me what time, I'll be there. The rest is history. I go downtown Chicago. I walk in the boardroom. There's 7-8 people dressed in suits. I mean, it's like the TV shows. I mean, talk about 8 to 1. I walk in and there's literally a round table with 7-8 suits staring at me. Very nice, expensive suit. So I knew it was a good legal firm. I mean, Canada, and they are. You know, and that's how it started. I mean, they agreed to do it. And by the way, when they asked me what the name of the charity was, I said Comic Books for Kids. And the lady goes, make it one word. Go, what? Make comic books one word. I go, you know, if I do that, everyone's always going to screw it up. By the way, everyone always screws it up. But just make it one word. Make the C capital and the B capital. And I go, why? She said, because it's different. Yeah, well, it may be different, but people still screw it up and put it as two words. But that's why comic books is one word. Now, off the record, when people say to me, why do you do this? Well, Stan Lee actually said comic book should be one word. So I said, well, Stan Lee said it. And if it was good enough for Stan, it's good enough for me. But now your viewers really know the real story behind it.
And that's like a crazy, like seriously crazy story. And David always is like, things don't happen quick. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint.
No. You're misquoting me. I said podcasting isn't a sprint. Podcasting's a marathon. You got to build a following, and then you get the content, you get the money. I said podcasting's a marathon.
Eugene, don't listen to David. Earlier in the thing, he talked about how things broke down in his car, and I think what he really meant to say is his car broke down with things. But I wasn't really just thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
don't misquote me, man. Making me sound like a Debbie Downer.
I mean, first, I just gotta say the fact that you were able to do all this in 48 minutes, that is an actual superpower.
Hours.
48 hours.
48 hours. Still superpower worthy. I mean, mission, board of directors, projections, that stuff. Those are projects that take a while. So I mean,
I'm so glad
amazing.
They didn't realize that Mickey Mouse was a fictional character for my board of directors. I kid, but you know what? It was a great exercise, seriously. And anybody who ever goes to create a business, I always recommend develop a business plan, because it forced me. I mean, I could type, but it forced me to stop and think, what is my operation going to be? How am I going to do this? Where am I going to store materials? How much is it going to cost? How am I going to get my materials? How many materials do I need? So it forced me to start thinking along those lines. And it was a really great exercise, to be very candid.
That's crazy. So now, Mark, how many hospitals are you working with to this day? 7 years later.
So we now support over 200 hospitals.
Jeez.
In all 50 states to all demographics. On our website, we have a link that shows the hospital network. And that just shows some of them. I mean, if it's on there, what I honestly did when we started is I took a map of the US. And my goal was I wanted to have this organization support all 50 states, kids and teens in all 50 states. So I literally started dialing hospitals and thought to myself, this is crazy. I wish there was a children's hospital organization that I could call that could maybe give me a hand. Newsflash, there is. So I called the Children's Hospital Association. I said, hey, man, this is awesome. Can you guys, this is what I'm trying to do. Can you make this easy for me and drop a note to all of them and have them reach out to me? And they said, no. We don't do that. Okay, great. I had to try. They said, but we do have a list on our website of the hospitals that are participating in our organization. So I said, great. So I started establishing a relationship with the Children's Hospital Association, but very candidly, I literally just called hospital after hospital saying, hello, my name is, this is what we're starting. If you're interested, let me know. And oh my gosh, I didn't expect a response, but everybody was saying, this is awesome. We would love that. Now, this is pre-COVID, right? So, but even post-COVID, it's not really much of a difference, but they were saying, send us comics. And I said, now we work with, again, we only work with all ages and teen. We don't deal with mature. So I committed that. Now it's 200 hospitals, and the numbers go up, Eugene, every single month. You know, I'm the only guy I know who wants to create more work for our organization, because the more hospitals, my goal is to get to 500. Somehow, some way, I want to get to 500 hospitals. You know, we're at, and with our current structure, that's not going to happen. But if you had told me we'd be at 200, I wouldn't have believed it. But all 200 of hospitals will respond in the course of a year, and we're constantly sending emails out. Our boxes started. They were probably that big. I think you've seen the white mailer boxes that maybe hold a graphic novel or a trade. That's the size of our boxes. We had 10, 15, 20 comics in them. You know, now we have 16 by 16 by 16 boxes, and they're full. You saw in the video. That's the size of the boxes now. Unbelievable how, you know, as we've grown, you know, as you get more sponsors in the same way, you know, you pick up different products, and hospitals said, hey, can you give us coloring books? So we got coloring books. And, you know, how about children's books? Well, yeah, because publishers do publish books. And so on and on and on until we've become really a pop culture give back. But every box always has comic books of all ages for kids. They're in a bag, they're taped, they're labeled all ages. And when we have to, we'll put in each box, we'll put 25 comics for teens in a bag, labeled, you know, for teens. You know, so, I mean, now we're doing something, we're even doing exclusive with DC Comics, which is really cool too. Who would have thought? But 200 hospitals and growing. And when we receive materials that are inappropriate, as I mentioned in the video, for the kids, we work with the military. We'll give it to military organizations, either directly to the bases or through other organizations who will put it in their care packages and ship it all over the world.
So 7 years ago, David, we were over at Gitmo. We probably.
Why are you yelling at me?
I'm not yelling at you. Don't get me started.
That was one of those checking your batteries kind of things. Like, hey, yeah. No, yeah. So 7 years ago,
yeah,
I think we might have been landing in Gitmo or getting ready to get into Gitmo.
So yeah. we may have. How long ago did you start the?
No,
that was recent.
You know what? Thank you. It's a great thought, but I mean the comic book for troops concept was just because I was getting so much material. I think comic book for troops probably started year 3, year 4.
Okay.
And again, overnight, we did like 100,000 comics that year to the military. But I know. Just, you know, I got Fort Bragg to say, hey, Mark, can you send it? Can we get some comics? I said, sure. How many do you want? Well, is 1,000 too much? No, is that what you want? Well, how about 2,000? Sure, is that what you want? Well, how about 5,000? Sure, is that what you want? Could we get a pallet? Yeah. Is that good? Could we get 2 pallets? Do you want a truckload? Just tell me what you want. She goes, 2 pallets are good. We give them 2 pallets. A tip of the hat to Buddy Saunders and Lone Star Comics in Arlington, Texas. I called Buddy and said, hey, would you be willing to help out? Buddy said, I have excess inventory. And, on behalf of Comic Book for Kids and Lone Star, we got them 2 pallets. So this was one of the times that I didn't actually ship my own inventory, but 30, 40,000 comics right there overnight, just
that's
boom.
Insane. That's crazy.
I haven't, I heard Mike, the nickname Chicano Batman. I love that.
Thank you.
I have a Batman story to share with you guys if you want to hear it.
Oh, of course.
By all means,
we're here for.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm animated, and yeah, I'm energetic and I'm enthusiastic. But there's, when you do what we do, you deal with some really tough subjects. I mean, there's no way around it. I mean, we're sending materials to kids in hospitals and cancer centers, right? And there are times I will walk out of my office and I'll have this glazed look in my eye, and my wife will say, "Another one of those emails." Yeah, another one of those emails. And again, I mean, early on, and I'll get to the Batman story in a second. Early on, I mean, I would get emails that said, "Mark, you have no idea what you've achieved and what you're doing." As a child, I was abused. I was abused by my father. And I found myself in the hospital over and over again. And my mother would bring me comic books. It was the comic books that got me through. You don't realize the impact you're making to so many people who are there for different reasons than, of course, I was. And he said, "Please don't share my story." I go, "Yeah, sure, my head's, again, I'm boxing up comics, having no idea the reality of the impact that I keep, and I hear this from nurses every day. But I got a phone call one time from a gentleman in St. Louis, and he said, "Mark, I want to do something, and I don't know if you can help me." Okay. So I'm in St. Louis, and I want to deliver some comics to St. Louis Hospital, but I'd kind of like to do it. Is that okay? I said, "Sure. I mean, if that's something you want to do." He goes, "I'd like to kind of maybe do a fun event." Okay, great. At the time, there was a publisher in Lion Forge was in St. Louis at the time. Oni Press bought them, but Lion Forge was in St. Louis. And I contacted Lion Forge and said, "Hey, you guys have donated to us once before. There's a gentleman in St. Louis who wants to give to the St. Louis Hospital. So he wants to do an all St. Louis event. He is not part of my organization." Again, I want to specifically and emphatically state, he is not part of Comic Book for Kids. He's a gentleman in St. Louis who wants to do something good. I see no reason why we can't do this. He has my blessing. Would you be willing to give him some comics to take to the hospital? Publisher said, "Great. Yeah, no problem. Just have him get in touch with me." Cool. Call the hospital. Hospital says, "Well, we got to be real careful. He's around kids. We got to vet him. We got to bring him in. We got to clear him, on and on." Cool. All I'm doing is facilitating all this, right? I mean, so I call him, say, "Get in touch with the hospital." He does. Everything is set. Calls me back a week later and says, "Mark, this is even better news. My company agreed to pay for me to buy a Batman costume," which means I can now go to the hospital as Batman. And I've talked to the hospital and they're excited. I said, "Great. When's it happening?" He goes, "This week." I go, "Great. Before it happens, give me a call." Or he said, "I want to give you a call." I don't remember the details, but he goes, "We agreed to chat beforehand." The morning of the event, he calls me and he says, "Okay, Mark, I'm going in. Any words of advice, of guidance?" I said, "Let me just share with you. This is going to change your life in ways you can't imagine. You've never done this before, but it'll be very memorable. My only ask of you is to call me when it's over and let me know how it went." He goes, "I'll call you within an hour." Great. An hour went by. No call. 2 hours go by. Nothing. 3 hours, 4 hours. And now I'm thinking, wow, something. This is, I guess, maybe it's really good. Maybe he didn't go. I don't know. That evening, I get a phone call and I hear a very shaky voice. He goes, "Mark." I go, "Something happened, didn't it?" He goes, "Oh, yeah." So what happened? He said, "Well, I had just gotten to the hospital and I had given a bag. I brought these bags, dropped it off at a room. And I go to my second room and I walk in and there's Mom sitting at the side of the bed with a little boy. And I walk in, the boy sees me, Mom reaches, kind of bends over to the boy, screams, starts crying, and runs out the room. He said, "Oh my gosh, I've been in the hospital for 5 minutes. I have totally screwed this up. I don't know what I did wrong, but I have caused this to be." So mom's outside the room crying hysterically. So as Batman, I walk outside the room. I still have my mask on. And I said, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't know what I did. I am so sorry." And she says, "No, you don't understand. My boy has been in this hospital bed for a couple weeks now and hasn't said a word until you walked in." And I looked at mom and I said, "What did he say?" She said, "He looked at me and said, 'Mom, that's Batman.'" His first words.
My goodness. Oh, Mr. Mark, you gotta hear this. The main reason I do Chicano Batman is because I'm a licensed speech therapist. So I've been able to see when there's parents and they're just like, "You got my kid to talk." Like what you just said. I mean, that's like a revival of like the Goosebumps, where it's just like it's unlike anything. It's exactly what you say, where it's just like it changes your life.
You were about to bring man tears out with that story.
And
Who's
that's
cutting
okay.
onion?
That's okay.
I've talked with publishers. I've talked to people in the industry. Again, I'm a guy that was not in the industry. And I've said to all of you, this is a means of making money. It's your financial support. But to a child in a hospital bed, through a child's eyes, it's a pathway to a different world where superheroes do exist, where good does triumph over evil, where boys and girls can fly, where they can fight dragons, they can go in rocket ships to other worlds, they can be whatever they want to be. And that's the mission that we embark on, is to take these kids away from their hospital beds. And while we can't impact the physiological, we can, as you know, Mike, as a therapist, we can impact the psychological. And I'm not going to say as important, but it is certainly critically important to the well-being. I had a nurse send me a note that said, "Mark, you wouldn't know this, so I'm going to share this with you. But after we got your box, I brought a comic book, and this child did not speak any English. They were only speaking Spanish. So we sat down at the bed together, and I taught him some English words, and he taught me some Spanish words. And then we said at the end, after my surgery, will you come back and finish reading this comic book to me?"
Oh man.
This is the power of what this organization is doing. And it's not me. I want to be really clear. It's not me. It's the mission, and it's the impact of these incredible things we call comic books in pop culture that are lighting up the minds and well-being of the kids. And I'm honored and thrilled just to be here at the helm driving this. But again, it's not me. It's all you guys who are allowing us to do what we do.
So I shared the story with Kendra and Ryan, I believe. But when I was in Iraq, they were sending free comic books to like the PXs and stuff.
Yeah.
I've always been into comic books. I draw comic book art as a hobby. And I think I was like 3 or 4 months in. I was pretty ragged, pretty beat down. I was tired of being there already. And I still had 10 more months to go because I was on a 15-month deployment. And I was in the PX. I was like, oh, you know what? I need some Gatorade. It's hot and whatever. I walk in, buy them. I'm looking at the like paperback books because I was like, I need something to read, something to get my mind off this. Didn't find anything interesting. So I hit the counter, pay for my Gatorade. And the lady at the counter was like, oh, there's a bunch of free books here. You should help yourself to them. And I was all like, oh, cool. I was just about to spend $8 on a book that was probably going to be crap. So that's cool. So I reach over, grab a couple of comic books, and I'm like, holy crap, these are actual like Marvel, DC,
Yeah.
Avengers style comic books. And I was like, this is cool. And I take them back and I read them. I think I probably read through those things about 10 times in the first 2 to 3 days. And then, of course, I'm on deployment, so they got ripped, they got torn or whatever.
Right.
But it was just enough to make me feel like, oh, man, that was freaking refreshing.
David,
like,
when you read the comic, as an adult, when you read the comic, while you're immersed in the comic, where were you? Were you back at the base or were you somewhere else? In your head, where were you?
in my head? Oh, I've always been a very vibrant reader. I'm always in the zone. So if the comic book is based in DC or it's based in Philadelphia or we're roaming the streets of Gotham with Batman, like I'm on those streets with Batman. You know what I mean? I hear Kevin in my head. I hear freaking Mark Hamill in my head. And that's who reads those books.
You know, it's funny. How can I cannot watch anything Batman without wanting to hear Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
I can't, right?
Yes.
You know, Mark Hamill is the Joker. Harley
Yes.
Quinn was made by Arlene Sorkin. I mean, she created that iconic voice, which honestly, I think Harley would not even be Harley if it wasn't for the voice acting that went along that created the character, because, you know, Puddin' and everything else, just it fleshed out the reality. And these characters become so real.
Yep.
Diane Persian is Poison Ivy. I mean, I think Poison Ivy, and it's Diane's voice just
It
in there.
absolutely is. And this is true and we see this as adults, and the kids who have watched the animated materials see it as well. Or so listen, I love pop culture. This started as me wanting to share a lot of this, again, giving my comics to kids in hospitals. Little I'm ever imagining that this would be now, and this really is going to be the rest of my life, as long as I can do it and the good Lord lets me do it. I'm going to keep doing it until until I can't. But never expected this to be never thought that I would be on podcasts. Never thought that I would be at the helm of an organization that was making a difference. 2 years ago, I reached out to someone in Titan Comics. Titan does Doctor Who, and they do a lot of other licensed materials. And I said, hey, can you give us stuff? He goes, yeah, we can. I go, I'll give you a donation receipt. He goes, no. We're headquartered in the UK. Donation receipt doesn't make a difference. I go, well, how do I make a difference? He goes, well, you'd have to be a charity in the UK. Without missing a beat, I looked at him and said, because I was having lunch with him, okay, we'll become a charity in the UK. And he laughed, as any normal human being should have and would have. That afternoon, I called my legal team and said, hey, shot in the dark, you wouldn't happen to know any organization that has offices in the UK, would you? She goes, oh, yeah, I'd know a really good one. She goes, that would be us. We're international. I said, I'd like to try and do this in the UK. She said, are you crazy? I said, yes. She goes, I'll put you in touch with someone. 2 years later, we became a charity in the UK. It's called Comic Book for Kids UK. I am the chair of that organization. I do not run day to day. God help me. But I am the founder and the chair of that organization, and they follow our guidelines. And we have taken that mission outside the US. It's now in the UK. It's in Canada.
Wow.
Just because he said, become a charity UK. So now when Titan donates us, we give them a legitimate charity, a legitimate donation receipt from the charity commission that they can use. Just passion and determination, and a lot of hard work. But I think the message here too is I couldn't have done this by myself. There's not a doubt in my mind. Could never have done this. But, you know, you always hear a couple things. How do people reinvent themselves later in life? My God. I probably know more people now than I did my whole 30 years in corporate America. Never dreaming I'd be doing this. I mean, my goodness. Remember, Witcher 3, God of War, workout? Yeah, let me tell you, the workout was the first to go. Yeah, no, that didn't happen, okay? Witcher 3, that was tough. That was tough. But who thought? I didn't expect this. Didn't expect this at all. But it is nonetheless humbling. And again, I'm honored to be the face of an organization that is making a difference. And I'm thrilled that you guys and all your listeners are now a part of this. Again, to all the people who are watching this or listening to this, just thank you for putting up with my crazy stories and for listening to me. And, you know, the sense of humor is just, listen, you do what we do. You gotta have fun, right? And so self-deprecating humor, yeah, I'm going to do that. But it's some of these stories are tough. But we you know, we forgive the expression, we soldier on.
It's a great expression.
Oh,
yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, isn't it? It is.
It's
But
just
to circle back on something you said earlier, you were talking about your dad. Your son was like, "Dad, get off your ass and do something about this." Me and Eugene, this whole podcast thing, we had been kicking the idea around for like 8 to 10 months, and I kept talking about it here at the house. Like, oh, he wants to start a podcast. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I don't really like talking to people. And then finally, my wife and my kids were like, "Dad, are you going to do something about this or not?" And we did.
You know, what's the worst that could happen? I mean, I made tons of mistakes when I started, tons of mistakes. Look, we all make mistakes. You know, everybody falls down. The difference is some people stay down. I prefer to get up, brush myself off, and keep walking. Okay, if I'm going the wrong way, I'll figure it out after I go a couple blocks the wrong way, and I'll course correct and we'll go the other way. You just keep moving forward and you don't stop.
Yeah.
And David, you're going to make mistakes, but guess what? That's how you learn, and you'll get better from every mistake you made because you'll know what you should have done and you'll do it again. You'll do it the right way next time. It's all good.
I think the coolest thing about taking the leap and like finally just me and him, you know, collabing, buying some mics, buying some cameras. The coolest thing is getting to meet all of the great people we've got to interview. Yourself, you know, Golden Apple Foundation, Project Wish Upon a Star, freaking Adam Westside over here, the Chicano Batman. It just one of those things. Everyone.
It's everybody that we've met. Everybody from like people that have a name or whatever you want to say, down to everybody that we've met just at cons and gotten a chance to talk to them, hang out with them. It's awesome. And funny thing is this guy here talks to anybody. He doesn't like to talk to you, but he talks to anybody. I'm the guy that doesn't like to talk to anybody, but wants to talk about all of this. And it's just funny, but it is, like you said, just taking that leap of faith, and we're gonna make mistakes, and we got to just dust ourselves off.
Okay. And go, right. It's okay. You know, it's all good. I mean, this is such a phenomenal industry, and we are all in this. We all participate in our own ways because we love parts of what this industry is about. And, you know, it's one of the only industries left where many retailers are still mom and pop. They're not mega corporations. Name any other industry. Grocery stores used to be mom and pop, but those have all gone by the wayside. Furniture stores have gone by the wayside. Think of any other. I can't think of too many organizations out there in the world that are really still mom and pop. Comic book stores are. And it's very embracing, and it's still very supportive. And I got to tell you, the industry has embraced me. I embrace them back, and it's a love fest. But that's all good. It's all good.
Man, now I feel like, gosh, gotta go do something.
We're gonna take on the world.
You know what? You guys feel like working out now, don't you? I mean,
No.
Well, to circle back on something Mr. Eugene said. So when I first heard with these delightful fellas here, they were talking about B horror. So I'm actually really happy because the missus and I we're gonna check out Maxine. So there we go. We have our B movie horror, and that's coming tonight. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of awful movies. So, just so you know. But you know what? What's crazy, Mark? And each time you say Chicago, and when I noticed that you were based out of Chicago, so me and David, and I don't know if you've read these books, but we're huge fans of the Dresden Files.
Yes.
And they take place right there in Chicago.
Yes,
I'm like,
they do.
oh my God, I got to get to Chicago. Now I have to really go so I can go meet Mark, but so I can actually find landmarks that I read about in the
wants
book.
to see the Bean. I don't know why. Get a ball. Just go look in the mirror. That's the Bean. They just, come to Chicago for other things. But listen, it's a delight. I will tell you, when we first, a lot of people want to see our space, and it's like people lose their head when they walk into our space. I am not kidding. Imagine walking into. People don't know what to expect, but everybody walks in and their response is always the same. I need to create a video and start filming people because people walk in and it's usually holy. Because you walk in, imagine walking into a room, and this room is about, our initial room, our main room is probably about, well, I mean, you saw it in the video. That's the main room, right? I was putting boxes in, but when the boxes aren't in there, I mean, there's shelves along the wall. They're full of just pop culture items, comic books, Pez. We do Pez. Statues. We've got action figures. We've got T-shirts. We've got Funko Pops. So it's a wall, a myriad of colors, and you walk in, and it's like, oh my God, I walked into a toy store, and people say, you really work here? I go, yeah, it's cool, isn't it? But but that's what it is. I mean, it's overwhelming pop culture. But I will tell you, when I first started, again, having no idea, I went to the store and I bought a shelving unit. I bought a plastic shelving unit with 4 little tiny shelves that were 2 feet wide. Because what else am I going to, I'm not going to need more than 8. Come on. I'm not going to need, how much stuff am I going to need, right? That lasted a day.
Oh, jeez.
Then it started building up. And so then I moved into the garage. And my wife said, where am I going to park the car? So then we moved into a 10 by those storage units that you see by the side of the road. We moved into those, right? And I, honest to God, for 2 years, I would, and I've got pictures. I would drive as a drive-in. I'd drive into the storage unit. I'd walk to my unit. I'd open the garage door. It was a 10 by 10. So I could have 2 shelves against one end of the wall, 2 shelves against the other end of the wall, and then in the back. So imagine 2 shelves, open the garage door, 2 shelves to your left, 2 shelves to your right, 2 shelving units, and then against the back wall. And that's where we started, and it was great. And I would bring a cart, and I would bring my boxes, and I would pack boxes in the shelving, in the storage unit with my coat on, because it was freezing cold in there, even though it was supposed to be temperate, and we did that for a few years until we were fortunate to get some funding. And now we have that space that you saw, which is probably our biggest expense outside of shipping, which is the space. But yeah, I mean, never. We walked into that space that you saw in that video. And I remember walking in there and I said, we will never, ever fill this space, ever. A year later, I had to get supplemental space of another 350 square feet.
Oh.
A year after that, I got another space on top of that of another 350 square feet. And just this January, I got another 150 square feet. We have more space in most comic shops. All right. But it's transient, right? It comes in, it goes out. It comes in, it goes out. But, we never know what we're going to receive. Funko has been wonderful to work with. They've been great. Although they've been going through some tough times now, and I don't know how their program is going to continue. But, we just keep doing what we're doing, and whatever, our Facebook tells the story all the time of what we're doing. We're very transparent. You want to know, I write every single Facebook post. So you really want to know what's going on. My daughter is our social media exec. She's the one that takes my words, turns the phrases into real sentences so people can actually read them. But yeah, I mean, and if you take a look at our Facebook today, we talk about a new program we're adding for the kids. It just keeps going, and we're going to keep doing everything we can do as long as we can.
It's just amazing, Mark. Just hearing the story from the start to where you're at now is just like, honestly, even that story about Batman, it honestly was like, had to hold it back a little bit. Just like,
I have other stories that I'm
no.
telling you. I am not telling you.
Good.
Because
we don't want man tears here. We don't need that.
Well, Mike is the most polished, so I do want to see something. I want to get him, because he's a speech therapist like that. But listen, I'm just incredibly grateful to all of you guys for allowing me to take as much time as I have. I'm incredibly appreciative to those who are watching and those who are listening. And I thank them all for just listening and wanting to be a part of this. My reality is, and you guys will find this out if you haven't, is people call me and I actually answer the phone. People send me emails and I actually respond pretty quickly. I mean, almost ridiculously quickly.
I was
shocked. This is what I do. This is reality.
It was honestly, I think I've got the quickest response from any emails sent out was by you. And it was in a matter of I think an hour. And I was like, holy crap, he wants to be on. And I had to tell David, I'm like, dude, he wants to be on our show. It still shocks the heck out of us when people
If it was an hour, then I failed. I've responded to people within the same minute because I'm constantly on. But yeah, it will. The only reason it's going to be an hour is I'm either on another call or I'm actually packing materials. But I love this, man. I love sharing the story with again, we're all friends in this industry. We all do this because we love the industry and we love sharing our passion with others. That's why you're doing what you're doing. Ryan and Kendra, it's why they do what they do, right? Yep. Great people. So all good.
But Mark, I know that you're running on still that 1 cup of coffee, which I'm pretty shocked that you're still running on 1 cup of coffee. That's pretty good. By this point, I'm already cracking open a Ghost to get my energy going. But because the heat, I'm actually drinking water. But we're gonna let you go because we've kept you on for a while, and I honestly can keep going on and listening to the stories, but I don't want to have that ugly cry face if you tell us those sad stories. So I'll probably we don't want that on air.
Well, he's got the ugly face. We don't want the tears to go with it. That's what we don't want.
I was waiting for that. So,
before we go, is there a way any of the people who are listening or watching can ask questions if they have any, and they may not? I want to open it up if anybody has any thoughts or questions or comments.
I usually field the chat and drop the questions into the stream here. Like my wife was watching earlier, she dropped a couple questions. She was talking about that's amazing with your story that you had going on. And then one I didn't cross over was when you were giving us information about, you're going to stumble, you're going to fall. She did reach out and say, preach it, because she feels like I need to hear that more often. But we don't have too many people on at the moment. I think we have 3 people watching.
All good.
But yeah, I mean, if anybody has a question, now's the time to drop it in the chat. And
definitely.
We'll give
Mark
Mark and
will
Mike.
answer your question right now. Forever
As,
hold your peace.
As
Or-
for
Or-
waiting,
or, you know
I
what?
gotta say, it is pretty fun when you do get a kid to cry and they're just like, "Oh my god, they brought me a comic." That is,
It's not
yeah.
the cry, but Mike, what you're really saying is an emotional reaction.
Yes, yeah, it's definitely the emotional reaction where it could either be like the yell,
Doesn't
the
matter.
cry, or
Doesn't matter. You-
yeah,
You got through. You
yes,
connected.
yeah. I could definitely say that. Yeah, that's happened in the experience, and I hope it continues. I definitely love getting those emotional
Wonderful.
reactions where it's just like, all right, cool, the kids are engaged.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you
yeah.
guys. I appreciate it. Appreciate you guys having me on. This was a delight. Anytime you ever want me back on, I'll be here.
Yeah. We definitely would want to have you back on. And also, Mark, as we had talked about yesterday when we were just going back and forth on the short time that we did talk, usually we extend the invitation to become part of the Geek Saga family. And with you, Mark, we definitely want to do the same thing. We want you to become part of our family and become one of the charities that we are definitely going to put a link in our bio.
Very nice.
So people can go straight to you, and however they can donate or whatever they can do, we want them to do that also.
Very nice. I do want to say that when you mentioned the charity you're working with, I mean, what an amazing, I don't know those people, but if there's any way I can help them, I'd be delighted to do so. I love what they're about. I love the way what they're trying to achieve. The way you described them was amazing. Talk about passion, and I mean, that's passion right there. So the charity that you guys are already working with, again, I don't take it the wrong way. I'm thrilled to have your support, but yeah, those people are pretty amazing. Those people are amazing as well. And by the way, your sponsors, I think your sponsors are amazing. You got some great, awesome sponsors, each and every one of them. So, tip of the hat to you guys for doing some great stuff. And because if you weren't, you wouldn't have the great sponsors you do have.
We're trying. We try. We really are.
Yeah, when it comes to the project Wish Upon a Star, people will definitely we'll get you their information so that you can hopefully get into talks with them about ways that you guys could help each other. But they even, when they had us come to the LA Con, what Eugene hasn't mentioned yet is he does cosplay builds, and he built a full Batgirl comic cosplay suit for the hero that was supposed to come to the con for us. She didn't make it, but we did send the costume to her. So,
I'm working on, we'll get there, an add-on to what we do, where like Children's of LA is actually probably the biggest hospital we contribute to, believe it or not. It's the number out of all our hospitals. They know me. I mean, I know their they get more shipments from me than anybody else, and they're such huge comic fans. But I don't know where I'm going, but I just pulled a Joe Biden. Sorry.
No, we can go with this. We can go with this. Okay, so it's in LA. We're in LA. If you have a need for Chicano Batman to go and make sure that those comics hit LA,
Thank you.
I will escort those comics.
Course correct. Mark
there we
fell
go.
down. Now I'm getting up. So the plan is, and I haven't figured this out, is I do have cosplay organizations that call me, right? So I'm trying to, now with COVID over and things opening up, I think a natural extension, and we haven't figured this, I haven't figured it out yet, but we'll get there, is to not only provide comics to the hospitals, but where it makes sense, in the same way that Batman went to the St. Louis hospital, seeing where I can bring some cosplay groups. So we're going to get there. I mean, it's going to take a little bit of time, but I think that's one of the next evolutions of us, working with cosplay groups around the country to make
Just
a
matter
difference.
of time.
You can, we can talk about how we can help you in that too, also afterwards. But you know what, Mark, we'll let you go, and if you can just sit tight in our green room in the back, and we'll bring you back on. We're going to do our closing of the show. But honestly, Mark, you're welcome on the show anytime.
Thank you, guys.
you have anything that you need to promote, by all means, send it to us on our Instagram, on our email, everything. We'll push it out there. And any way we can help you over here in California.
Right back at you, man. Right back at you. We're all in this together. We all help each. I'm a big fan of what the old win-win strategy. We all win together. That's the only way it works.
Exactly. And that's exactly what we've talked about in the past, is that if we don't work with each other, this industry is going to die, and
That's
all
right.
this will go away. So,
All right. For the first time in an hour, I'm going to actually try and be quiet so you can close this out, okay?
all right, Mark, I'm going to take you out, and then we'll bring you back in a few minutes. But everybody, Mark with comic books, one word, for kids. All right, guys. So there we go. All right, Mark, we'll be right back with you.
Thank you, guys.
That was cool.
As always. Yeah, that was cool. So Mike, now you see how it works with us. We literally will sit back, and it's just like, let our guests go, because man, they've got some great stories, and Mark is amazing. And Mike, you did good.
Oh, thank you.
Especially when he was
You did
like,
great, man. I can't wait to give you a whole episode so you can give us your story, so you can fill the viewers in on what you do, how you got started, and then also you can start showcasing some of the things you're going out to and do stuff like that.
which actually he did send some footage for the event that he did, which I'm going to be editing together, and it will be up by next week. So everybody, you can see what Mike goes out and what he's going to be doing for us at events. And if you follow us on Instagram, we've been reposting his Chicano Batman antics as Adam Westside gets ready and heads out to different events. So we're going to keep doing that for you too, Mike. Ooh. So welcome to the Geek Saga. You are now part of the squad.
All right.
And we are now 2 salty veterans and a speech therapist, somebody that's actually has an education and has class.
He might get you to stop messing people's names up pretty soon.
No, that's all good. That's all good. As we're on the topics of the veterans, I'm already hearing the fireworks going on. Hey, I gotta say, just thank you guys for your service.
Oh, thank you, man. It's easy. It's easy with support.
It is. It definitely is. But Mike, let's start with you and tell everybody where they can find you, like on your Instagram and Chicano Batman.
Of course. So everyone listening, you can find me at mgarcia5159. I'm also on TikTok at mgarcia5159. If you have any type of event, any type of need, just go ahead, shine the bat signal, and I'll be there to help out.
Does the bat signal have a sombrero? I'm just
It's actually pretty close to the Cesar Chavez ones, but it does have a beard.
Oh, I just pictured it with the beard.
Gotta have the bushy beard. I shaved it once, and my wife was just like, "Never do that again."
So this,
like,
okay, this.
Yep, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
And then, as always, guys, you can find us on Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, everything. The Geek Saga on YouTube. It's the Geek Saga 77. Our email, if you would like to reach out to us, is thegeeksaga20@gmail.com.
Actually, it's changed. Just recently changed. So we now all have individual emails that we can be reached at. But I'm not going to give out those individual emails. I'm going to give out our new email, which is info. Look at that, I got all corporate and stuff. info@thegeeksaga.com. So moving on.
Official.
Yes, we are official. I was like gonna have that song from what's that show? That old show. Moving on up.
Bro, what you mean? Come on, I'm gonna give you about 10 seconds to figure it out.
Oh my! I just watched it last night too. Come on, Mike, help me.
Yeah. I'm thinking. It's was it the one with Gary Coleman?
No. That's Different Strokes.
Yeah. You got me on that one.
Jeffersons.
The Jeffersons, yes.
All right. Yeah.
Bro, Don't mind me. I'll just continue to be dynamite while you figure this shit out.
Oh my god! Hey, you know what? I was watching it last night, and I was all like, "Dang, why did I not like this as a kid?" And like all those shows that came out when I was a kid and would show on like, well, for us down here in LA, Channel 11, you know, like the Jeffersons, What's Happening, Sanford, and all the shows that my dad was watching. I was like, I don't like this stuff. It's old. Now that I'm older, I'm like, dude, I actually
This is the
like
best. They were on to something.
Yes. Dude, Chico and the Man, the Golden Girls.
God. I went through the whole Chico and the Man, except actually I didn't watch the last season. It was horrible.
Yeah. But so you guys can reach out to us at info@thegeeksaga.com. Get all your emails answered there. But as always, join us next week, same time, same bat channel.
Woo.
7:30-ish. Oh yeah, same Chicano bat channel. 7:30-ish. We try to get there, but Instagram slows us down because we gotta copy and paste these things, and it's weird. But look for us every week, Wednesday, 7:30, when the saga continues.